Hi, my name is Gord Miller. I'm the Environmental Commissioner of Ontario. And I'm here today to introduce you to a report that I've just tabled with the Legislative Assembly. It's called Laying Siege to the Last Line of Defense. It's about a regulation they passed relating to the Endangered Species Act last July 2013. Long title, the last line of defense refers to a previous report in 2009 I released, which was a review I did of the Endangered Species Act when they renewed it and updated it at that time. And this is a pretty favorable review. I looked at the Act and I said this Act has got the right elements that an Endangered Species Act must have. Endangered species legislation must, first and foremost, put provisions in place that help the species try to recover. Should be focused on species improvement and recovery, because that's the whole idea, to get them out of the endangered or threatened status. The Act also envisages that there's a ministry, the Ministry of Natural Resources, that has primary responsibility for not only administering the Act, but taking charge of the situation of endangered species and finding ways to improve their lot by working with the public at large and those people who run industries that might affect it. And thirdly, the Act foresees that because we're talking endangered species and because we're talking decisions to be made in our society that may result in, the loss of species or their habitat and harm to these things that are often very, very sensitive, the public has to be involved in those kind of decision making to make sure that they agree. And the public is concerned about these things. So that was the Act, and everybody was optimistic, and my review was favorable. But in July of 2013, the government released a new regulation, a big long one, relating to this Act that changed the way this Act was administered and fundamentally changed the approach to endangered species in Ontario, which I don't think is what the Act intended or is correct. And people are concerned about this. They did post that regulation, or the intent to change make a new regulation on the Environmental Registry, and there are over 10,000 comments issued by people in Ontario. So this is important. People are concerned about the status of endangered species in Ontario. And the changes they made are not good ones. For those three central points, with regard to improving things for endangered species, the regulation does not require that the species be on the road to recovery or that their lot be improved. Only that the impact we have against them is mitigated. That means we allow them to be damaged to some extent, and that's okay. In terms of the Ministry of Natural Resources, it almost takes them out of the picture. Instead of what the Act envisages, the Ministry issuing permits and saying, oh wait, you can't do that there, oh this one, oh yes, you can do this kind of work in this land, and oh we can mitigate it that way, we can make the situation better. That role has been removed. Now you can, if you're an industry and you're doing something that is changing the landscape and may impact endangered species, you simply have to follow a set of rules and have a plan. You don't have to show that plan to the Ministry of Natural Resources. You just have a plan and everything's okay. So it takes the ministry out of the game. And finally, much of this goes on without any kind of public consultation at all. The public is taken out of the game. These are the changes that come into play with this regulation that they've recently passed, and I think they're fundamentally against the strong points and the objectives of the original piece of legislation. I'm greatly concerned. The public of Ontario is concerned. Please have a look at this report. It's quite readable. It's on my website, www.eco.on.ca.